is Ruckus. Thanks for joining. Please like, subscribe, and share. 10-8. All right. There we go. I don't know what happened there. Got a little crazy with the music.
Well, that, and I saw a little drive-by. There's a little hand come out and shot something.
Yeah, that's this here. That's my like, subscribe, and share guy.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he comes out and takes care of business. You know how it
Is
is.
that LA?
How's everybody doing? It's good to see everyone. I'm here with Mr. Steve. I know everybody knows who he is. He doesn't need any introduction, but Steve, just in case there's somebody that just fell off the last turnip truck, if you could tell us a little bit about yourself.
Not a lot to tell. I'm a retired law enforcement officer. I started off working in the jail, went to the road, went into investigations, became a state certified crime scene technician back before CSI was cool. And I've worked every type of case you can imagine, from simple thefts, burglaries to homicides. And now that I'm retired, I'm part of the web sleuth world and try to become an ambassador for law enforcement.
Amen for that. I'm glad you are, Steve. I'm glad you are. You bring a lot of sanity to my crazy life. I know that. And if people could be a fly on the wall with some of the banter we have while we're driving, they'd be amazed at what kind of stuff we get into.
Oh, yeah. If you just quit falling asleep mid sentence of my riveting point, and you just, I get on a roll and a rant, and I think I'm doing well, and then you're snoring.
Yeah, no, you don't tell anybody that I was down there on my deathbed. I have fluids coming out of every orifice of my body. But you don't tell nobody that, do you? No.
Doesn't fit my narrative.
That's right. That's right. But dude, it was a great trip. It really was. We had some excellent conversations. Even though we had a very taxing schedule, to say the least, we got everything done that you had on your agenda. And
yeah, hopefully this week the lab report on that one case hopefully will come in this week or next, and which we'll start on that just as soon as that comes in.
Absolutely. Well, just so the chat knows, we're going to be talking about a few things here. So I'm not going to keep up as much with the chat and the hellos and all that. I'll try and catch that at the end. If you guys have any special questions or anything like that. But I want to thank the mods for being in here. You guys always do a great job. And if there's any other subscribers in here, I see Frank and I see Sleuth. What's up, Frank? What's up, Sleuth? If I miss any other creators, Brandon Barragee's in here. He also has a channel. If you guys could please post their channel up in the chat, I would appreciate that. We're all doing the same thing. We're one big team. Doesn't always seem it. True Crime is in here. So yeah, if you could share the love. These guys are all great. We're all doing the same thing. We may have differences of opinions, but we're all here for the same purpose. And in this case, it's Abby and Libby. Seemed like we were getting close to getting some closure on this. And as you all know, we got thrown a big curve during that court hearing. But there's a few things that I want to go over. First of all, Steve, that 136-page document, filing, memorandum, whatever you want to call it. Have you ever seen anything like that in your life?
Never. I hadn't heard of. Absolutely, the presentation of it, and I don't know how happy the court was when it came out, but I've never seen anything. You see when you're in the president and you see the attorneys up there bickering, arguing, bringing their points. That's one thing. And because you'll have these great debates and you'll have people thrown out there as far as third party suspects and things. But in just a court um, filing a motion, I've never seen anything like that.
Yeah, it was almost like an ex parte order. You know, they shut off the live chat and the comments. they, they put that up there and didn't give anybody any idea what their goal was. Now, what's your opinion? What do you think they were trying to accomplish there, Steve?
Well, they accomplished a lot. They've absolutely, I mean, they set a foundation of what they believe and why they believe their client is innocent. And and that there's others involved. Is that the case? I don't know. Was it a Hail Mary? I don't know. But if they had all this evidence that they have there, it shouldn't be a Hail Mary. If all that evidence is true, why would you even put it out there in such a motion? Just wait until a jury gets there, or go with, they'll have hearings about certain witnesses or certain third parties that you may present to the court because they have hearings throughout as they prepare for trial. But they chose to make it part of a document that was left out to the public. And um, whose decision was that? I don't know. I don't know what their ultimate narrative is, other than try to create a social media storm.
Yeah, well, they sure did that. They sure did that. If that was their goal, they met that goal with bells on. Now, aside from them actually throwing names out there of who they thought were involved, um, do you think that they needed to go as far as they did with describing the actual crime and the crime scene and all that? Do you think that had any impact? It seemed like to me like they were all over the place. They want to throw these names out there, and then they want to describe what happened all at the same time.
Well, it's almost like they were trying to apply for a search warrant or filling out an affidavit that we have to put all the details in. I believe the judge, and I've never seen this type of hearing that they set for the suppression of this, that would have, that we have evidence of other people being involved. And, just by saying other persons, and that we have evidence of some type of uh, cult or group or pagans, whatever it is, that they could just use those terms. But throwing in the actual names, I don't think helped their cause in any shape, form, or fashion.
All right, we got with this new program that I have, super chats go off to the side, so I can catch those right away. Just want to throw this out there real quick. Charlotte, £9 99. Thank you, simply thank you. I appreciate that, Charlotte. I appreciate the fact that you're watching and that you care enough to give us a super chat and comment. It means a lot, really does. Okay, now in that document, the way they laid things out, to me, when I read it, they would have had to have either been there or somebody that was there told them what happened, because they actually got down to which arm went into which piece of clothing first and the such and all of that. To me, it sounded like, either they're totally making this up or somebody that was there talked to them to be that
Well, Well,
precise.
they may have somebody that is highly qualified, some retired CSI guy or expert in the field of recreation that's taken all the notes, investigator notes, crime scene notes, images, video, 3D imaging, because we don't know what all was done at the crime scene and how and what measures and what technologies were brought in. And the same for the autopsies, and that we don't have all those pictures. But through recreation, those images and proper documentation, an expert can go in there, evaluate those reports, look at those photos, and see these little clues of, yes, this is what happened. This is how come I can say that there's a this arm was moved in such a manner or created such a pattern. Because if it's documented correctly, and accurately, you should be able, and that's the importance of the CSI world, that when you leave a crime scene and you've taken everything from that scene, that 10 years later, someone of like you or with your qualifications should be able to take the reports, the images, the videos, and recreate everything.
Hmm.
Put everything right back in place. That nothing would be misplaced, and that's what you want. That's the level that you should document these crime scenes at. Now, if they did that or not, I don't know, but hopefully they did.
Right. Now, we get another super chat real quick. Let me get this. This is from Leslie Kingston, 9.99 super chat. Thank you. And no, thank you, Leslie. I appreciate it. It helps out a lot. And glad to have you here. Glad to have you here. I know you guys are all here to see Mr. Steve, but I don't care. I'll ride that pony. I will ride that. I'll whoop him. I got one of them little sticks, them little jockey sticks. Because everybody knows I'm about the size of a jockey. I'm a little bitty thing.
When I took you to the airport, you left all your armadillos out in my yard.
Yeah. Hey, you know, Steve has deer and bunnies and everything's cute. He doesn't even have bugs at his house. I got snakes, turtles, bugs, armadillos, all that nasty stuff up around me. But no gators. So I'm not going to complain. I'm not going to. You got to be careful what you complain about. Now, also, and you and I really haven't had a chance online to talk about this stuff on a live. You and I have talked extensively about most of this stuff. Spending 12, 14 hours on the road will do that to you whenever I could stay awake, of
Yeah,
course.
per
Yeah.
day, per
Yeah.
day, not total, just per day.
Yeah. 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 We had more time driving than sleeping, uh, time on the ground, talking to people, and than anything. But I mean, it is what it is. And to be honest with you, Steve, it's a good opportunity for us to talk.
It was.
I enjoyed it. I really enjoyed it, and we got to bounce things off of each other. And you've convinced me of a few things, and I've convinced you of a few things, and we're bound to get something right, you know, at some point. But what do you think about all these leaks? Before we get into the hearing and the attorneys being, um, well, them recusing themselves from this case. But now we've had prosecutor Ives, we had a judge Derner, and now the defense team have all off this case from Jump Street. So, what do you think about all of the, like, for instance, Woodhouse getting the that email by accident and then disseminating that information to other people and it getting passed around online? What do you think about how big of a mistake is that by the defense team doing something like that?
I have no idea how that could even happen, and that because you're an officer of the court, you're given certain duties to do certain things, and what is the explanation of it? I don't know what the final explanation would be, is unless they have one of their experts they were sending it to that has some type of name that is similar. I have no idea of how that could even occur, but it is beyond um, my ability to try to figure that out.
Yeah, it's. I was amazed at that. At that, my jaw hit the ground at that. Is how the hell, and then it's just too many coincidences. Then you find out, and I heard about this stuff back in August. And I'm a nobody, and it got to me. So, I can imagine how long it's been out there and been around all this information. But then it just so happens that this gentleman that got this file by accident is a practicing Odinist. To me, it could be a coincidence, could not be, who knows? But then they decide to take that route, and say that this was a sacrificial um, deal, and from an Odinist cult type thing, and even name some folks in it. But not just that, they started leaking things prior to that we found out since. And now the crime scene photos get leaked. It just seems to me like it's all part of a just the only thing I can even think of, Steve, is they're trying to blanket taint a jury because that's the only thing they'll get out of this.
Well, you know, I think their storyline about certain parts of this, and that's how come I did some testing when I with Mrs. Steve the other night or day up and dragging her around through the woods, is that I wanted to see because they highlighted one person could not do this. And if they have a lot of evidence that the crime scene happened somewhere else or it took multiple people, that is a great point to bring to the jury. It's not so much great to take to social media or to an odiness that part of their theory. Um, so I I'm lost at their game plan, and I'm lost at their lack of professionalism of just walking away from the case. Hopefully, because they set the case back by a year. Um,
Mm,
you know, absolutely at least by a year. And what will the next attorneys do? And because how some of the and it's a fair question for the fact that um, what if some of those witnesses that talked to the earlier attorneys won't talk to the new attorneys?
right. What if
And
their
these
stories
witnesses,
change? I mean, do they have to
yeah,
stick by those depositions now?
I would have, I don't know. I don't know if the court will allow them or, I mean, and that's something now I can't ever see a defense attorney wanting to do that. The witnesses that you're trying to bring into court, that of course you're going to have hostile witnesses sometimes that you will have to treat as such, get them on the stand and have them declared as hostile so that you can ask leading questions.
Hmm.
And but you generally don't want to do that pre-trial. You want people to work with you and trust you. And has the some of the witnesses that were on uh, the Odinist theory or even on Allen's side, do they have faith in his defense now? And will it hurt the case? I mean,
Right.
it's an argument.
Yeah. No, I agree 100%. And also now too, he waived his right to a speedy trial. Now, does he get that all over again? Does a speedy trial start now again once he gets new attorneys?
I don't think so. But even if it did, say that really, I mean, the attorneys. I think the speedy trial thing would probably be pretty close to what the timeline is now. That if the new attorneys chose that, but those were his attorneys, and it went through a court hearing, and through his um, uh, choice that him and his attorneys getting together that yes, we're going to waive that speedy trial, and so that was all done with uh, best interest for the client and for the case. So I think that probably will stand. I don't think that um, now will the judge entertain and say, "Oh, okay," because I think the judge said somewhere in the her statement the other day that uh, she doesn't expect that the new attorneys will be able to meet the trial date of January.
Well, you wouldn't think so. I mean, that's just not fair. To be honest with you, there's a lot of information they need to go over, and plus, how fast is the defense going to turn everything back over now that they're off the case? I wonder if she set a deadline for them to get all their information back to the state. But they don't have to share their works. All whatever they were going to use, whatever strategies they had, they don't have to share that with the new defense team. But I mean, it's
I
pretty
would hope.
obvious what their strategy was at this point.
Yeah. Oh yeah, they throw as much mud at the wall and see what sticks.
Yeah. Now, see, look at this is the kind of questions I get on my channel. Look at this. Look at this. Steve, does Ruckus have wandering hands in the car? Do you see what I'm saying? I get the snakes and the turtles, and I get questions like this. You get deers, bunnies, and don't you look great, Mr. Steve?
Well, we put when I put him in the car, I put little baby mitts on him so he doesn't scratch himself while he sleeps.
Did you just come up with that one just now, or you've been waiting to drop that little gem? I'm rubbing off on you, man. Okay. Now, in that 136 page document, they were pretty graphic, pretty descriptive, and stuff like that. And I don't want this. This isn't going to be a long live, guys. Steve has a members only tonight, and he's been busy cutting his property and stuff like that. So I don't want to tie up too much time. There's just a few things that I wanted to touch base with when it comes to the crime scene photos. A lot of people got those things, and some we don't know what generation they are. We don't know if they've been doctored, manipulated. We have no idea. But I have seen them, and in very short period of time, minutes. We got a super chat here from Jerry. Thank you very much. Super chat, $10. What's up, kid? Hey, the Pats didn't suck today. Not a bad day. You're right, Jerry. I was surprised when they drove down and got that winning touchdown. After that fumble, I was surprised, but good for them. I'm glad that they played well today. But in a very short period of time, I was able to spot something. And the only reason why we're even discussing this stuff is because it's already been discussed in PCs and in that 136 page document. I'm not going to show any of the crime scene photos. Steve, and I know you agree with this, I've seen worse. I've seen worse live. But Steve and I look at things through a different lens. We look at things differently than other folks do, to no fault of anybody. If you haven't done this, Steve's done it several thousands, hundreds of thousands of times. Got another super chat real quick. Oh, look who it is. L.A. for the red light ticket, $9.99. I don't know what ticket he's talking about. He keeps bugging me about that. I told him, for anybody that doesn't know, okay, here's a question you should ask somebody before you drive across the country with them. Are you colorblind? You should ask that question, because we were going to a toll booth and it was dark, and Steve's like, which one do I need to get in? Because it was confusing. And I said, the purple one. And he said, what? I said, the purple one, the big purple one. He said, I'm colorblind. I was like, oh, well, that would have been useful information before we left Georgia. That would have been something. So he went through a red light. It's not my fault he can't tell the difference between red and green.
Oh, yeah, the red light I did not go through. We were stopped. Tell the story.
We'll see when you get the ticket at the house. Okay, back on subject. Back on. This is a serious subject. So thanks, LA. Thanks for turning things sideways for a minute, jerk. And anybody hasn't gone and looked, LA has a new channel that I am involved with called Thin Black Line. I'm there for aesthetic value only. The other two guys that are in there, Diesel and LA, are as ugly as a mud fence. So I'm in there to bring the ladies. But they've got like 52 subscribers right now. It's going to be every Tuesday at 7. It's 3 former law enforcement guys just talking about things that happen, usually body cam footage and stuff like that. They're pretty fun to hang out with, so go check that out. Okay, back to the what we saw in the crime scene photos. Within 2 minutes, okay, one of the first things that I look for, because I've heard a lot of different things. I've heard that the bullet was found a couple days later by a news crew. I heard it was found by a hiker. All kinds of things. That it was buried, which would imply that it was planted if it was indeed buried. But within 2 minutes of looking at this, one of the crime scene photos, I was able to see this. This is between the two girls. And you can see that object at the end of the arrow. It doesn't look organic, doesn't appear to belong there, and it strangely looks like a round. And I'm not going to expand this photo because, I don't want to show too much of it, but it's the right size, right shape for a .40 caliber round. So I was like, well, that's interesting. So let me zoom that in a little bit. And as you can see, as I pulled it in a little bit closer, you can see that it doesn't appear to be organic. Um, it's not the same color of the leaves. It seems to be reflecting light. Even though in the first picture with the arrow just above, you can see where the sunlight's going across the leaves there. Even though it's in the shadows, it's reflecting somewhat. Well, then if you take it another step and you zoom it in and pixelate it, you can see that this thing wants to stand alone. It wants to stand out by itself. Now, it could be nothing, but the second I looked at that picture, I saw it. And I haven't heard anybody else mention it. That's why I was, I've been sitting on this for a little bit, but I was amazed that nobody else saw this and even mentioned it. Now, this could be nothing. And Steve, what's your opinion?
I looking at it, absolutely. You can see where in your pixelated one where it's zoomed in that it does wish to stand away from the background for whatever reason. And it does have that uh, cylindrical, squarish that you would anticipate. Um, yeah, good catch.
Now, could it be anything else? Could it be just an anomaly in the photo,
Yeah,
or
it could be it could, and that's the thing. We don't have the images that have been presented as evidence in court. Whereas they're going to say, "Is this a fair and accurate depiction of what you saw and captured, and have the photograph authenticated?" Uh, we have images that things could have been photoshopped in, dropped in, and we don't even know what generation we have. So it could be an artifact. There's so many things that it could be that other than what you alluded to. So, but yeah, I mean, there's a lot of things, but just looking at it, yeah, I can see where you could come to that conclusion.
and like we talked about before, nobody's put their hand up and say, "Hey, yeah, I took those pictures. Those are evidence pictures." Well, we don't know when they were taken or by
Yeah.
whom at all.
Or even
Um,
if they're real.
exactly, exactly. So, but that jumped out at me, and I thought of that maybe it could be an artifact. I've got a super sticker here from Andrew Derringer. Thank you very much, Andrew. $5 super sticker. You're the bomb.com. I appreciate it. Anybody that donates, you have no idea how much it means to me. You guys are all fantastic. Okay, so that was the very first thing that jumped out at me. And this was on one of the photos. There was two photos and there was two sketches that I saw. So let me take these down. The other photo, immediately, uh, what jumped out to me is there was some straight vertical lines, and there appeared to be some. I don't want to say it's writing, but it appears to be writing. Now, when I zoomed in and again, guys, this is within 2-3 minutes. Okay, these were things that were pretty quick to spot. If you know what you're looking for, and the pictures don't just shock you to start with, you're looking for specific things. Well, I was able to pull this. This is actually on one of the pictures, and it's on the picture of Libby, just below the breast area. You can see the straight line going across the bottom. It actually carries over. I didn't want to put any large pictures. I didn't want to violate anything. I keep the family um, in my thoughts, and I don't want to do anything to upset them. I'm just pointing out different areas where there are different anomalies that could be something. It could be nothing. But what I see there, I was able to darken the image up. And hang on, I've got a quick super sticker. From Keeping Eyes Peeled, $3. Thank you very much. But you get the line underneath it. It looks almost to me like a evidence sticker. Okay, but you can see in the top middle there, you can see the letter 13, clear as day. And then there's some smudging, but then I see OCT. And if I put this other picture up, I pulled it in a little darker and made it a little bit bigger. Now, I don't want to plant this in your head. I just put this CO13 October just so that you guys can see what I'm talking about, so you can see where it is in the picture. And again, the within minutes, of seeing these, I didn't ask for them. I didn't want to see them. I don't know what generation they are, just like anybody else. I don't even know if they're real or not. Um, I never wanted to have to talk about these, to be honest with you. But these are things that I noticed that I thought were important. Now, the implications of that is, if that is a 13 October, that is the only 13 October that comes to mind for me is the search warrant on Richard Allen's home. So if that is indeed an evidence sticker, there's some implications there, just like if the bullet was buried. That implies a few things. Okay, so I'm going to take those back down. I didn't even want to bring them up as much as I did, but I didn't show anything. I will never had shared those photos. I never would. But there's certain things that jumped out at me because, like I said, Steve and I look at them through a different lens. And I'm sure that any other law enforcement, anybody with any experience, would have noticed those right away. I haven't heard anybody mention them yet. I don't know if anybody in chat has noticed that, or if anybody has mentioned it, but those are things that I saw. So I'm sure if I had time to look at those for a while and really dissect them, we'd be able to do some other areas that had similar things that could be writing. Now, what do you think, Steve?
Well, having gotten search warrants and been involved in a lot of things, is it something that someone, because I believe there was a search warrant executed, or there was some type of court or something during that time frame? Is it an image that was presented to a judge, and or was it something as just by coincidence that was filed on the 13th of October and or was being put and processed into evidence? Because during the processing and the um, gathering all the information um, to present to a judge, it's not uncommon that images or pieces of evidence are copied and stamped and put into an evidence chain for a presentation. So is that what it is? I have no idea, but it's just a possibility.
It's definitely an anomaly, no doubt about it. That's what I see there. That doesn't mean
Yeah,
that that's
if
what
it's
it
got
is.
anything to do with an evidence sticker or stamp, then it has to be through either a clerk of the court or some CSI guy.
Hmm. Absolutely. And again, we don't even know if those pictures are real or what generation they are. Somebody could have put that on there. Somebody could have tried to take it off of there. It could have been more prominent.
Yeah.
Who knows?
Or it
Those
could
are
be
just,
photoshopped on. Yeah.
yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Just too few things that I noticed right away. But yes, I have seen the photos. A lot of people have. A lot of people have. And I'm not going to re-traumatize the family. I don't even want to talk about them anymore. I said I wouldn't talk about them at all. But those few things really jumped out at me, and I hadn't heard anything. I fully expected to hear by now something about those two anomalies in those photos right away. And just one more comment I want to make on it, and then I'm never going to talk about these things again until trial. If they come out in trial, well, then we can talk about them some more. But I don't know what generation they were, if they're real or not. But there were no antlers on the photos that I showed. None on Abby. There was not even close. Not even a twig that could be misconstrued as an antler. Okay, now moving on. The hearing. That was bizarre because that morning, I know to say something's bizarre in this case is kind of no kidding, right?
I had a
But
psychic event because I was asked a question. What do you expect? I said, it's going to be something unexpected. So I had a moment.
but they Baldwin hired an attorney who put in a memo that morning just prior to, which they do a lot. They sandbag so the prosecution can't prepare for it. But I mean, I knew 2 days prior that he hired an attorney. I even reached out to another attorney, asked if he wanted to come on and talk about it, but he didn't, and I understand why. I mean, attorneys don't want to talk about attorneys from that area. Excuse me. But he laid out that, it was these three people that did it. It was a singular event. Um, they should not be taken off this case. They're working night and day. They're fighting for this man's life and all of that. And then, boom, they resign. What do you make of that?
Well, a lot of times attorneys will file motions to be taken off the case. Judge doesn't have to grant them. Now, the judge said during the statement that it was something unforeseen. So I would expect that whatever her remedy for what was occurring and had occurred was probably going to be less than what did occur. Go ahead with your super chat.
I got a super chat from 63 Clocks. Great discussion, Ruckus. Thank you for being so respectful of the victims and their families. Absolutely. Absolutely, 63 Clocks. There's no other way to be. We're here to discuss this case, not traumatize families.
So I do expect that the judge had some lesser or new filing or even some sanctions that may have come along post trial, and not so much here because we do have a one-time shot at getting this case before the court. Although I was pleased with how the judge handled it. Wasn't up there looking around, staring into space, trying to figure out what to do. There was a course of action. She took it and advised exactly what's going to be going on in the coming weeks, and knew instantly, since Richard Allen didn't have representation, there's no need for him to be at the courthouse. So let's go back home where he's being held.
Yeah, and until he has representation, nothing's going to happen in the case. Zero. I mean, the prosecution can't even make any filings or anything. So, we're kind of at a standstill. It's like you said, set this thing back a year, at least. At least. It's going to be interesting to see the new defense team, if they decide to carry on down the same path that the old team did, the same strategy, or if they come up with something new.
If nothing else, they got two new witnesses that they can call to the stand.
Yeah, exactly. And and I know, going all the way back to the first time I was looking at this case, eyewitnesses, they don't do very well during cross-examination. Hardly any. Now, law enforcement, they do okay because, we've been through it and we're pretty well coached through our whole career, actually. Every day you're coached. But, just general eyewitnesses, especially in a case that's this old, it's not hard to get them flustered during cross-examination where they can lead the witness, and they often do. So, but that's all I wanted to get across today. I wanted to talk with Steve. We talked for hours on end about a lot of things. We just recently figured out that excuse me, we need to make another trip out that way. And in about a week or so, should have some information on Evansdale, right? We should have something.
Yeah, it's possible.
Yeah, so that'd be good, and I'm super excited about that. And I want to thank you, Steve, for your time. I know you're a busy man. I just wanted to make this short and sweet. I wanted to get my 2 cents in there. I didn't want anybody to think that I didn't care and I wasn't involved with this whole mess. But I do care. I do care a lot. I'm working on other cases, but I am keeping a close eye on this one as well. But you guys have a great day, Steve. Thanks again. Do you want to say anything to anybody?
Nope. I appreciate it. And y'all guys stay safe out there. And I'll see everybody soon. I think my next to see you day soon. I won't have another show until Tuesday. So,
all right.
So hopefully I'll see some of y'all Tuesday night.
All right, you guys, and do me a favor. Don't take any wooden nickels. name is Ruckus. Thanks for hanging out. Please like, subscribe, and share. I'm 10-7.